So, welcome to the Satellite, Space and Defence Matters podcast. Your hosts today are myself, Millie, and Laurie from NewCo's Satellite and Space team. And we're delighted to be joined by Germán, Head of Growth at Arcsec. So, Arcsec design and manufacture high accuracy ADCS solutions for small satellites and CubeSats. Their hardware and in-orbit software allow spacecrafts to orient themselves precisely and detect orbiting space debris. Germán joined Arcsec during a pivotal stage of the company's journey, helping transform the business from an early stage research-led startup into a scaling commercial company. With a background spanning economics, business strategy, sales and operations, Germán will be talking to us about what it's like to be the only non-technical person in a research-led business and how he has become the commercial driving force of the business's growth. Welcome to the show, Germán.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Welcome. So, Germán, today we're going to cover your career journey, the industry that we're in, and of course, people. But to start things off, we'd love to ask some questions about how you entered the space industry.
Yeah. So it was a interesting thing. So I remember just browsing through LinkedIn and suddenly seeing this small startup in my town here in Belgium. And then I started reading on it, and then the more you read about space, the more intrigued you are by it. You start thinking about planets, and then you're talking to your friends about it. And I was talking to my wife about it, and then she said, "Why don't you apply? I mean, you really need to apply." So then I sent my application and kind of forgot about it. Because as a startup, they took their time to get back to me. So then when they got back to me, I was like super excited, and it came in with a lot of energy. And that's the short story. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. Excellent. Millie, over to you.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just need to apply to make the leap.
Exactly.
But obviously you've come from quite a different background. You've been in law, software, business strategy before joining Arcsec. I'm
Correct.
really curious to hear how those experiences have influenced your approach to your role there. What would you say are the biggest things you've learned?
So in the end, I think the biggest thing is that you get experience from everything you do, and especially you get to see what translates across the industries. And it's like this kind of seemingly irrelevant things of operations that you see when you, I worked in big corporate and then I worked with law firms, and there's all these similarities in the structure of things. And then you can carry them over to a small company, to a small startup. And then you see what, like the added value that brings to startup, right? Because by definition, the startup doesn't have a lot of structure in itself or hierarchy or anything. And you realize there's pros to that. There's also cons. So there's a way, if you can marry both ideas together, you get best of both worlds in theory. So I think, just get a bit of the structure of the most conventional companies into the small things. That was the biggest.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess you must have encountered some challenges in bringing in that structure and those principles from a more of a structured business. What were some of those challenges that you encountered in those early days?
Well, the first one was that people don't see the value of things. So when you have to think of when you're like a 10 people company or 5 people company, you really have a lot of knowledge of end-to-end processes or end-to-end whatever it is. And the answer is like the guy that is sitting across the room, and the easiest and most practical and objectively best thing to do in the short term is just go there and ask. But the thing is that when you're successful, success comes after a long journey of like a lot of good decisions just lead you to success. And when success comes in, it just comes in. And basically you need to be ready to scale or to be ready to make the same decisions now or get to the same outcome just faster and better. So in the beginning, they don't see the value because they say, it's easier to go there and talk to the person. But when success comes in, that going across the room and talk to the person doesn't work anymore. So it's better to just work on the structure, work on things in a scalable manner from the beginning. So once things go well, you can just press the button and it's it's repeatable,
Ready to go.
it's consistent. Yeah, exactly.
And you've described yourself before as, being the non-technical part of the team. How do
Yeah.
you tend to bridge that gap between the commercial, non-technical business side and the
Yeah.
very engineering focused side of the business?
Well, I mean, with a lot of humility and by not being afraid of asking questions or just saying, hey, here's my limit of what I know, and I'm just going to ask around. I'm going to get to the questions and whatever. Because what people in the end, it's not that they want answers, they want solutions. So as long as you're transparent with how much you know, how much you don't know, I think people are happy to wait a little bit longer for the answers. And internally, what I've done is I I really ask a lot of questions to everybody, like, hey, don't you mind that I ask you a couple of things here and there, or like, how did you do this, or let me get a bit more background. And it's quite famous now in the company that we have this new coffee machine, and sometimes I just go there for a coffee and I stay 20, 30 minutes talking about some technical detail that I know nothing about and grill them with questions all the time. They kind of see me around the coffee machine and they're like, oh, no, I'll come back later.
No more questions.
Yeah,
Best way
yeah.
to learn. The best way to learn. So one of the biggest conversations in the space industry today is how Europe can strengthen its independent space capabilities while supporting a safer and more sustainable orbital environment. There's a growing demand for sort of high performance ADCS solutions within the small
Yes.
sat market. Why are they such a critical component for these modern satellite missions?
Yeah, so you have to think that when you are in space, the satellite doesn't know, like it needs a way to know where it is and how it's positioned, how it's moving across space, right? There's no north, south, or whatever. So the only thing that you can do is basically look at the stars, and that's what our product does. It looks at the stars through the star trackers and just basically calculates how it's moving through space.
Yeah.
It's important to know, because if you have a mission where you want to detect wildfires, you want to, I don't know, take pictures and check vegetation or urban growth or do whatever thing that is with an object that is really, really far away. If you're not exactly pointing in the right direction, you might be pointing a bit to the other side. And instead of taking a picture of London, you take a picture of something else in the middle of nowhere. So it's highly important to be accurate because of the distance. And yeah, that's in a nutshell what it is.
Brilliant. And so how did Arcsec differentiate itself in the market?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Big question.
In the end, there's not like a single answer, and I could be talking for ages about how great their products are and whatnot. But to be honest, I think the main thing that we try to do is we try to provide a product that works, and then we try to follow up a lot with the client. We work with, we're grown with the industry, and we try to really sell something to a client and be there with them throughout the whole process, and just try to make it easy, all the decisions, make it easy for them. So they don't know how to, something works, or they have any issue. We are there 24/7, super responsive, helping them grow. And then again, like as the industry grows, we can grow with them. And one of these clients starts like buying more and more and more because they have more and more business, the better it is. So in the beginning, I remember joining the company and thinking, hey, we're giving all this consultancy and we're spending all the time with the clients for free. This sounds like a horrible idea. Like we should charge for it. And my boss said, no. Like if they do well, we do well. We really need to invest. Like the real investment is in the people. And then I thought, okay, let's give it a try for a few months. And you realize it pays off. The industry in space is quite small. Everybody knows each other. And like investing in the people always pays off.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Yeah, and then go on a journey together. So,
Exactly.
Great answers. Excellent. So now we want to sort of touch on DeDUST technology, which is extending the capabilities of existing star trackers to support space situational awareness. What inspired Arcsec to expand into SSA?
It was a conversation with another scholar. So the founders of our company both come from the university. They're both PhDs. So they have this very scholar background. And we were talking to some people from another university, and they notice that sometimes the way a star tracker works is very simple. So it just looks at bright spots in space, and then you think, oh, bright spot is a star, therefore I know what I'm looking at. But sometimes you see that there's other objects that cross through the sensor that also reflect light. Maybe it's a piece of space debris or another satellite or something. And they're like, yeah, we detect this bright spots. All this information gets captured by the star tracker, but you just throw it away. I'm like, yeah, of course you can't base your position on something that is moving. It needs to be something that is relatively stable, like a star. So they said, like, why? If you throw it away, why don't you capture that data instead and then just download it, and then we can see what other objects are there, and if something is going to collide with you, you can be aware of it and whatnot. So it was just literally a conversation over a coffee or maybe over a couple drinks with another scholar that kind of brainstormed the idea, and then we were like, it's technically possible, and we can reuse most of our work and most of our algorithms, so it doesn't take extra effort to do it, quote unquote. And it was like a simple, natural step after having that conversation.
How the best ideas come about.
Yeah, exactly. It's always in the pub talking to the friends. The best ideas, the shower thoughts, and then this is a business.
Pub or a coffee machine. Love it. And so,
exactly.
I mean, what's the major challenges and opportunities that are facing spacecraft technology and specifically sort of SSA over the coming years?
Yeah, I think at the moment in the near future is that, so this is like a space race. Everybody is trying to get to space as fast as possible. The industry is growing, and you can see 2,000 startups come up every day with ideas of constellations. But in the end, the amount of success or successful companies and solutions that are in the industry are quite limited. So you see that we're putting a lot of effort. There's governments putting money, there's private funds putting money. So we put effort in all of these different initiatives all across the market. Whereas if we had a bit more alignment and like say, okay, let's all put the effort in these 3, 5, 10 or whatever number initiatives and just go with this. I think that would be the best way forward. So the main challenge for me is that the fragmentation of the market that is happening is leading to a lot of wasted effort. So yeah, you can see it a lot in the industry. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it. I mean, there's a huge boom right now, or globally, but I know in Europe there's a big focus and a lot of investment in space at the moment. How do you foresee sort of innovations like the improvement of collision avoidance, space sustainability, and sort of long-term resilience when it comes to sort of the orbital environment? Because it's fascinating right now to hear.
Yeah, so it's a necessity of the today. And it's going to be like something that we're going to see in the very near future. I saw a post yesterday on the news on LinkedIn, I think, that there's a maneuver done by a Starlink satellite every 90 seconds. Granted, there's thousands of these objects and whatever, but every 90 seconds they have to do a maneuver because they're going to collide into something or whatever. So the more and more congested space becomes, the more important it is to be able to make actions and have regulations and know what's happening out there. So all of this is the cars. Like in the beginning, we had the roads and people drove wherever and people did whatever. And soon enough, we realized, okay, we need something. So this is just, exactly. This is going to be exactly the same thing. So
brilliant. Thank you so much. Fascinating to hear.
It is super interesting. I think it's, one of the areas of the industry that's just going to keep improving and innovating, and probably because of necessity, like you said, it's the busier it gets, the more you need to know what's going on around you. So we always find it interesting to hear a bit more about that. But of course, naturally, we work in a people industry and we want to talk about the people that make up the satellite industry. And you've been involved at Arcsec from early on in the business's life. From, I think you mentioned before, around 10 employees to up to more than 30 now, if I've got that correct.
Yeah, I'm employee number 10. Well, if you count the directors, it's like 12, but I'm employee number 10, and I think we're now around 31.
Yeah, and so how have you kind of seen the business evolve from a commercial and cultural perspective, and particularly we touched on earlier being in your role. How do you feel that bringing more of a commercial or a business perspective into a highly technical business, how do you think that's influenced the company's growth?
Well, it changes because it influences in the way that you have to change the priorities and the way that people see what their goal, like what the role is, not as in what they do in the day to day, but what the end finish line is. When you do a lot of research, or we just, publicly funded, let's say, your goal is the next PDR, the next deadline, the next whatever. And it's sort of an arbitrary thing, right? Because when you have to do a research on something, maybe the answer of the research is like, yeah, this line of research doesn't work, or we need to have a different approach, whatever. When you work with a client, you are promised to sell them something, so you have to deliver something. So everybody had to kind of, and when I joined the company, maybe we were 70 or 60% doing all this research and 40% commercial. But then I joined in, and slowly the commercial side grew. And we are now a commercial company, and we have some research that allows us to develop our products as well. So now everybody has to think like whatever they do goes mostly to serve a client in the end. Yeah. And that's the deadline. And it's a promise that we make to the client that we need to keep. And that promise is paramount. Like you cannot, like it's something that we take a lot of pride of. Like we tell them, hey, if we sell you a Ferrari, we want you to drive a Ferrari. And of course, we don't sell Ferraris, but the concept holds. Like, we sell you a product, like, we're going to get you there. If there's issues along the way, because there's always going to be issues, we're going to fix them, we're going to solve them, and we're going to own them. So it's this change in mentality that I think was the most important thing, right? Like, to go from, like, I'm going to go and ask the guy that is sitting across the room to, like, I'm going to have a process that allows me to do this repeatedly. And there's like an issue coming through, I'm going to be able to go to that process, find the issue, analyze it, fix it, and ensure it doesn't happen again. And then I'm going to be able to talk to the client about it. And then, like we're going to progress together. You see this as a collective thing that we all did together.
And so I guess, how do you think, well, it sounds like it's obviously transitioned into more of a delivery focused business as opposed to research led. How has that kind of shift changed the approach to hiring, if at all?
Yeah, well, first you hire less generalists. Like, let's say that in the beginning you want to hire someone that can do a little bit of everything, or not that has the skill set, but has the attitude towards like, hey, I don't mind doing whatever super sciencey thing today, researching how light impacts this image sensor or whatnot. But the next day we need to build chairs and tables, and the next day we need to go to a conference, and the next day we need to sit with the client and be commercial. So in the beginning, it's like this super multifaceted people. And then slowly you're like, okay, now I need someone that can really go into the code or like the FPGA development, like something very, very particular. So we started hiring more into like the role. And of course, personality and the people that are behind it, they're all always important, but it's like we niche down more into who we hire, and it's just a different approach.
Yeah. And you're a growing business and very much in that kind of startup scale up stage, which naturally comes with people taking on different responsibilities and different roles. What do you think it is that attracts people to join a business like Arcsec or an ambitious scale-up or startup business?
Well, I think in the very beginning is the idea that we're in space. Like the space industry is quite attractive. So they probably never heard of us before. They probably don't know very much what a star tracker is or how it works or an ADCS. So the initial hook is like, oh, space, high tech. This is interesting. And then they start looking into it. And then the care that we put with the clients is sort of this philosophy that we also have now when we hire people. So when people come for an interview or they come over for a visit or anything, that they can feel that people care about each other, and the relationship and the atmosphere that you can feel in the company is quite unique. So it's like everything. In the beginning, you look from the outside, oh, this sounds interesting. But in the end, it's like the people that are around it that make the day-to-day that makes it cool.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it's that culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But it's not
Excellent.
intentional. It just happened.
Yeah.
We are fun people to work with.
Well, talking of fun, this is my favourite part of the podcast. So we're going to catch you off guard here, but we want people to now get to know Germán better. So what I'm going to do
All right.
now, I'm going to fire 5 quick questions to you. Obviously, there's no wrong or right answer. Don't overthink it. I'm fascinated to see what comes from this.
Okay.
So when you were younger, what did you want to do when you grew up, so to speak?
Oh, I wanted to be a footballer.
Deportivo.
I'm from, yeah, I'm from Spain, so football is in the family, it's in our blood. So I wanted to play football my whole life. And slowly it was like, no, I'm more into business ideas. And then it was like some corporate job. And then I realized that was not for me. But originally, football was the plan A.
Yeah,
Good answer.
You're in Spain. World Cup champion, so not surprised. Okay, this is going to be quite interesting. Who are your dream dinner party guests? If you could have 3 people, who would that be?
It's my favorite
Holy,
question.
what a question. Well, first person would be my wife. Actually, this sounds super
Very
weird,
smooth.
but
Very smooth.
yeah, no, but I really do. I really like. We always have dinner together, and it's like a thing I always do with her. Is like I ask her, hey, "What's the highlight of your day?" And I always think like, yeah, it's just like a dinner or something, like the chill plans with her. I love it. So, okay, dinner with my wife would be great, and then I don't know. I don't really know. I guess someone in the industry that could be interesting. Either
Okay.
someone from ESA or someone. Elon Musk would be like a fun guy to talk to. Just, sounds like a cool story.
Yep. No footballers at the table, or no one else. One more.
No, that idea is far gone. I think if I sit with them at the table, I would feel heartbroken. I didn't follow my dreams. Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
So, well, talking about that then, so you're sitting there with your wife. What's your favourite food?
My favorite food? Oh, it's going to sound so weird, but it's bread. I love a big piece, like when you go to a bakery and I see like this fresh bread in the morning and I think like, oh my God, sourdough feels, looks so nice.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I'm a simple man.
Simple and effective.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right, 2 more. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I would say either Hey There Delilah, probably, or Hallelujah. You know Hallelujah, like
Jeff Buckley or one of the updated versions.
Jeff Buckley. I'm a classic.
Yeah.
I learned to play those songs with the guitar when I was, I don't know, 15 or something like that, and they're the go-to.
There we go. Do you still play?
Not in public.
Okay, so we'll get you on a different episode to do some record to play for us.
To that other podcast of like failed dreams of footballers and musicians. I can go to them.
Brilliant, excellent. And then the last one for me is, what makes you laugh the most?
Oh, that's a good question. I really like I don't know, like unexpected, absurd jokes, like contextual jokes. Like, I don't know how to explain. Like, when something funny happens and then somebody makes like this snappy comment that like it always cracks me up. So
like
I guess that.
Very quick
wittiness. Wittiness. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's good.
Excellent. Well, love that part. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
It is always a fun part. I think every time I hear the questions, I think, oh, my answers will have changed.
Did you know? Have you thought about your answers already?
I think you do naturally think, oh, what would I answer? Okay. But we haven't formally done it. Maybe another time we'll interview each other.
You can do a bonus episode where you guys interview each other.
Yeah, but it's only the quick fire round.
Yeah, only that.
And our final question of the podcast, it's always the same. And it is, what one piece of advice would you give to anyone entering this industry?
I would say, ask yourself the right questions all the time. Like be always critical. with the things that you're studying, you look at and don't be afraid of asking yourself the right questions. One of the best things that my mentor told me when I was young is like, go to that person and just go learn from them. And one of the things he said is like, ask them about their history, about their life, like the same thing that you guys are doing with me. Like I said, like, how did they grow up, and like how, like just follow their story a little bit, because people like to talk about themselves, and then go and keep asking questions, and then ask yourself, have I learned enough? And then don't be afraid to say no to yourself, and then keep asking questions. So from all this thing that happened when I was doing this interviews with the people in my first job with my mentor, the bottom line thing that I learned was asking people, hey, sorry, can I learn this from you? And then I would ask like a very generic question. And then I just keep digging and digging and digging. So in the end, anyone in this industry or any other, like, just don't be afraid to ask yourself the right questions and ask other people the right questions, but just constantly and say, did I learn enough? Do I need to learn more? And just keep going at it. People love talking about themselves. This podcast is an example. I wouldn't be here if I didn't like to talk about myself. So people like to do it.
Why not
Everybody
utilize
has a
it?
story. Exactly.
That's brilliant advice. That's really great advice. And I think, it's very much what we like to do as well, is just keep asking questions. And it's always nice to learn about people's story. But it's been brilliant learning about your story, Germán. It's great to have you on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun, and actually really interesting to dive into some of the technology at Arcsec and your role at the business. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, perfect. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Very enjoyable.
Thank you.